What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Training with Coach Jordon. And tonight we're going to be talking about the future of soccer training camps. We're going to be looking at a special long-term athletic development training camp for soccer players. This state-of-the-art training program is going to be held in a summer camp fashion, meaning that the athletes will stay overnight, starting from a Monday morning and then leaving on a Friday night. The age of the athletes would be from 16 to 18 years old, making them later in high school and typically on the varsity level. Each day of the week is going to be focused on aspects of soccer, like shooting, dribbling, or passing, and may also be a combination of two or more of those aspects. This camp's goal is to optimize the potential of athletes and teenagers through soccer by exposing them to sustainable and challenging training methods, which essentially means that we're going to push them to become better athletes and people, but also doing so in a way that prevents them from burning out. At our training camp, we hope to optimize our player performance by having them engage in competition, have them utilize their problem-solving skills, and to understand the importance of load management with their training schedule as well. In this training camp, we utilize competition in a variety of ways, including in our drills and in the mini games that we play throughout the week. Through these competitions, players have to work to outdo their fellow peers, which in turn causes them to have to look for ways for them to improve their own game and causing competition with themselves. The goal of this training camp is to have our athletes develop in a multitude of ways. To begin, we want our athletes to grow as people on the field and off the field. In addition to that, we also strive to teach our athletes ways that they can continue their growth beyond our training camp. The way that we facilitate growth is by balancing it into 5 different categories, including sports skill development, psychological development, physiological development, soft skill development, and self-care development. Sports skill development revolves around the techniques relating to the ball and how to improve them. Psychological development is improving on the mental aspects of the sport and knowing what to do in a variety of situations. Physiological development is improving on the physical capacities of the athlete, like their strength, speed, and agility. Soft skill development has to do with the communication aspects and relationships and developing relationships with other teammates and players and people. Self-care development is all about improving on methods needed for navigating stress and injury prevention. A typical day of practice at camp would begin with thorough and individualized warm-ups, followed by rondos and/or agility ladders. Then we would move into drills and games for that day's area of focus, like passing or shooting. And then after we finish with all the games and drills, we're going to move to a team cool down, which can also be individualized to whatever the player needs. And then we would finish with a team talk, so that way players could communicate with coaches directly about their feelings on practice, how that practice went, and what they want to see differently. After we're all done on the field, we would then spend time doing some team bonding outside of the field. The thing that sets our training camp apart from other soccer camps is our emphasis on warm-ups and cool-downs. Through this emphasis on warm-ups and cool-downs, we're able to encourage players to discover what their body personally needs to prepare for vigorous exercise while still being in a team setting. The team setting also allows us to use rondos, which is a passing circle with a defender in the middle, and agility ladders as an extension of our warm-ups. The cool down and team talk portion of our practice is good for teaching players about the recovery process and giving them a chance to practice it, while also giving them a safe space to express their feelings about how practice went overall and giving them an opportunity to place their feedback. The agenda for the week lays out the steps we intend to use in order for the athletes to compete at the highest level at the end of the week on Friday. It also highlights the daily area or areas of focus throughout the week in combination with the intensity and volume of each day as a means to demonstrate and model sustainable training methods through load management. Our opening practice of the week would be passing focus, with medium intensity and medium volume. We wanted to begin with a passing focused practice because it would be a great way to build team chemistry and get the players to know one another better. We will begin our practice by getting our players acquainted with the more thorough and individualized and both team focused warm-ups, so that way they will have a good foundation for the rest of the week. This would then be followed by our agility ladders and then a little bit of partner passing while also doing ball work while also figuring out what they personally need to work on. We would then move into a game that revolves around building up our fitness while also building more chemistry and communication skills. After the game is finished, we would then move into our passing pattern drills where we would work on moving the ball and moving ourselves to get in space to receive the ball. These drills will last the majority of practice and will last until we start doing rondos with two defenders. Emphasis on the rondo will be communication by both the people inside the circle and on the outside of the circle. For the defenders inside of the circle, their main objective is to not let the ball go between them, and if it does, that will be a point against them. The defenders with the most points against them would have to do a consequence like push-ups or running down to the halfway line and back. After the punishments are completed, the team would then be able to begin their cool down and then have their team talk with the coaches, allowing them to openly express their thoughts. After they're done on the field, they would then have a team activity later in the day. Tuesday's practice would have more focus on shooting with higher intensity but a lower volume. The warm-up and the agility ladders will be the same as Monday. The differences begin with the utilization of ball work drills and then moving into a rondo with one defender. After we finish with the rondos, we would then move into a passing competition where the players would compete to see who can deliver the most accurate passes. This would sort of act as like a test or a refresher for the skills practice yesterday. The loser of the drill would then complete their punishment before we move on to defense drills. And these essentially act as mini scrimmages, but with more emphasis on getting to the end product of a shot. We would then move into truly testing the shooting capabilities of the players by playing the game of Lightning, which revolves heavily around shooting. After we have crowned our winners of the game, we would then have to do our team cool down and team talk as per usual, and probably have to do lots of ball retrieval, and then do our team bonding later in the day. Wednesday will be one of the combined areas of focus where we'll be working on dribbling and passing with medium intensity and high volume. The warm-up and the agility ladders will be the same as the other 2 days. This practice will be different because of the rondo with two defenders early on in practice, meaning that there'd also be another consequence for the defenders with the most points against them. Once the punishments were completed, we would then get into ball work with multiple kinds of drills. For example, we could do touch the cone and partner toss. Touch the cone would see the players in the middle of the cone have to return the pass to the partner and then having to shuffle to the called out cone and then repeat the process. Whereas partner toss would see the player in the middle returning passes back to the partner with no shuffling in between. We will return to passing patterns again with variations in the pattern depending on player feedback earlier in the week and player ability. From there, we will progress to possession games that will take up the most of practice. After that, we would have our usual cool down and team talk, followed by a night of team bonding. Thursday's practice would be dribbling focus with low intensity and medium volume. We would go through our typical warm-ups, followed by a rondo with one defender in the middle. We would then get into our game of the day by playing tic-tac-toe with pennies, and then we would do our ball work drills like partner toss and touch the cones from the day before. After that, we would dive into another competition based on dribbling this time, and it could be in the form of a game like Sharks and Minnows. After we played these games for a while, we would then move into set piece practice, which is practicing things like corners, free kicks, and all the other spot kicks that could happen in a game scenario. We would then conclude practice in our typical fashion with cool down lap, team talk, and then team bonding for the night. This shorter practice is in preparation of the following practice the next day. This final Friday practice is going to be a focus and combination of everything that we've worked on throughout the week. It's going to be in high intensity and high volume. We will go into our typical warm-up and then follow it up with an agility ladder. And then we will go into a typical rondo with two defenders and then having consequences for the ones that have the most points against them as usual. After our rondos, we would then begin playing possession games, and then after the possession games, we would transition to offensive defensive drills. These game-like drills and games are meant to prepare the players for the final scrimmage that is going to feel like the final half of a soccer game. This allows them to put their skills to the test against people who've been working just as hard as them all week long. After the scrimmage is over, they will have their final cool-down lap and team talk, allowing them to express how their whole week went, followed by their last team bonding activity. Thank you for watching the video. If you have any more questions, visit our website. For a limited time, you can use promo code Thanksgiving to get half off of your training session order.